Hey everyone, Lucas here. It's been a really long day, so please bear with me as I try to get through this video because I really need to record one for tomorrow. So you're seeing, I guess, a little bit behind the scenes again. And let me just pull up here what I wanted to talk about today. Right, change is inevitable. So a lot of us try to achieve permanence in things. We try to achieve permanence in our relationship, try to achieve permanence in our body, our health, our money situation, our life, and our happiness. We try to achieve permanence in ways where we can just feel secure enough that it's not going to go away. And that becomes a big problem in life because, well, nothing is permanent. And while we get that, right? We know relationships don't have to last forever. We know that money doesn't last forever. We know that even life doesn't last forever. But although we know that, there's still something that keeps us wanting to try to just hold on anyway, to have this person in our lives forever, to have them like us, to have them love us, to never have them even take a step to going away. We want to have the money that we have on our side always be that same relative amount. We want to have happiness and always feel good. And we resist the negatives, the alternatives to that so much that sometimes we really get in a bind. We basically get lost in trying to protect what we have instead of just trying to add more so that if we lose it, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to give you a little analogy. So I used to play Magic the Gathering, which for those who don't know it is basically like this card game. And you collect cards, build a decks, play against each other. And I used to play against my dad all the time. Like the entire family played. And my dad would sit in the basement where we had all our cards for hours, trying to devise this one strategy to win, and then trying to pick cards that would protect this strategy, that would make sure that he could not lose with this one strategy. I went a different approach. When one of my decks wasn't doing so well, I spent about half an hour, came up with a theme, and just slammed full of good cards and played against him. And, some of the decks would work well against this deck, others wouldn't. He would win a good amount of matchups, which might mean that his deck was more stable, but it took him forever and it still lost. It was still not good enough. Whereas my decks, they won about 80 to 90% of the time anyway. Because as soon as he destroyed one winning strategy, I just poured out the next one. He destroyed that one, I came up with another one. I just slammed it full of these winners, so to speak. And Jim Carrey put this well in his commencement address. I forget where he did it, but where he said, you can fail at something that you don't love. So you might as well give a shot at something that you love, or something like that. That's not the exact quote, but the point is that you can even fail at being safe. You can fail at holding on to it. But then you invest so much more energy, so much more time, so much more love, so much more of you into this protective thing that the pain of losing it is going to be so much greater. Imagine if you had one gold coin. This gold coin represented happiness. Now you only have one of these. So when someone asks for a little bit of your happiness, you can either give them a full gold coin or nothing because you can't split it apart. You're going to try to hold on to that coin. You're going to try your best. You're going to get aggressive. You're going to get like a wild animal backed into a corner if you have to. You're going to fight. You're going to lash out. You're just going to go nuts over it. Because you have to protect that one coin of happiness. Now, imagine if you didn't try to be so defensive. If you didn't try to practice every day and devise all these strategies to protect. And you didn't have to save, to bunker, everything else to protect one gold coin, but instead what you did is you tried to get more gold coins. You try to look for other ways to get some of these happiness coins. Maybe some hobbies, maybe other friends, maybe a partnership, maybe a second job, maybe a hobby outside, whatever. Right? You just try to grab as many different sources of gold coin income, if you will, as you could. If something then were to come up and threaten that happiness or ask for that gold coin. You might have 10 available to you. Spending one of those is not going to be the biggest deal in the world. But this is our problem. We don't try to get more. We try to protect what we have. We try not to lose what we have. If you're willing to lose it, you automatically assume that you will lose it, which isn't synonymous. But you still say that, oh, just because I'm letting go of this means this will disappear. And so we don't try to let go of it, but we have to let go of it to spend our energy to get something from other sources. You see the problem? It doesn't work. Like we can't just hold on to everything we have. Because even if we do, it doesn't mean it'll stay. You know this very well in relationships. The stronger you try to hold on to a partner, the more you try to control them, the more you try to watch yourself, the more you try to have them not cheat or not, do anything mean to you or love you, the more pressured they feel. And the more pressured they feel, the more likely they are to want to find an escape, to find something else, to want to find someone that doesn't make them feel that pressured. And you're essentially creating a self-fulfilling prophecy whereby they leave. And it's the same way with your money. It's the same way with your happiness. It's the same way with everything in life. The more energy you put into protecting something, the less you have to find something else. And then when that one thing that you invested all this energy falls apart, you have nothing left. You're lost. For instance, with money, it's another example. People protect their money. They try to save. They try to save money so they can save as much as they have, right? And to essentially increase their bank account is what the thought is. But even when you do that, you're only walking in the realms of negative X, which is your expenditures, to 0, which would mean not spending anything. But that doesn't make more. Right? It's from negative X to 0. When you're trying to look for making more money, you're looking from negative X, maybe the money you have, the money you're making, the money you're spending, to Y. Y being an infinite amount of possibilities and opportunities to make more. And multiple billion, trillion dollars, whatever. And as much money as anybody can make. That's what your frame is there. And you'd be happy with everything along the way. Now at some point, you're going to make X money, which is the opposite of negative X, which means you're going to absolutely go even and above even. And then your bank account is going to fill. And it's the same thing with happiness too. You try to protect your happiness, try to protect the relationships, the friendships that you have, try to protect the hobbies that you have, try to make yourself feel valid in the person you are. And when somebody attacks that, when somebody says your hobbies are worthless, your friends don't like you, or the characteristics you put so much value in, you actually have the opposite. You're not nice, but you're a jerk. You feel awful too, because you don't have enough sources of happiness. Or when your friends say, you know what, sorry, I just can't hang out tonight. You might be lost. Or when your partner doesn't want to do anything or needs their alone time, you might feel lost. You might not be able to get happiness on your own anymore, because you have no other sources. You're not taking care, and you're not taking enough care of yourself. You just were given this one gold coin for something, maybe chance, maybe luck, maybe your own effort, doesn't matter. But you have one, and you're trying to hold on to it. My gold coin, my precious. Imagine if Gollum from Lord of the Rings didn't have just one D ring, but 24 the one rings. Right? Do you think he'd be that upset if Bilbo stole one? Probably not. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And we are, as weird as that sounds, like Gollum in this case, trying to protect the one thing that we have, the one thing that we think makes us feel valuable or happy. And you can even find out what that one ring for you is by looking at what you become most defensive about, what you are afraid to lose. That's likely your biggest source of happiness, if not your only source of happiness. I think this took a little bit of a wrong turn than I wanted it to, but the point that I'm trying to make is that with all of these things, right, we're trying to hold on so much, we're trying to get permanence, but change happens. Things always change. People change, relationships change, the money in your bank account changes, your job will change, your life changes, always. Don't try to hold on too tight. Don't try to protect too much. Instead, what you should try to do is become okay with not being okay. Become okay with change happening. Become okay with letting go of the things that you hold on so dear. And as you do, you will find out that just because you're okay with letting them go doesn't mean they just vanish into thin air. And instead, what you have is so much more energy because you're not trying to grasp it so much that you have more energy to grab other things and more things and more things. There's even a story, this was in a self-improvement book. I honestly forgot where I read this. This is not my own take. But where the author talked about holding a butterfly, right? Someone finally grabbed that butterfly, in our example, happiness. And as a kid, they held it. They held it really, like, grasped it openly, but firmly enough so it couldn't escape. And then they ran home with it, eager to show their family. When they finally got home, they opened up, ready to see this beautiful butterfly. And what was left was a very sad, stressed out, almost dead-looking creature. Because of the pressure, even if it wasn't physical, even if he didn't press on the butterfly itself, just that pressure of holding on so tight made the butterfly almost die. I think it might have even died in the end, but that's what we do with our happiness. We put it in such a strong cage, and it's not meant to be there. It's meant to fluctuate. Sometimes you're happy, other times you're not. But because of that, the happiness will feel greater when you have it. But if you hold on too tight, if you cage it up, just like with any person, it will demand its freedom and will fight. And once it's finally free, it will not stay with its captor. You can be sure of that. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe letting go now, opening up the cage, will probably make it go away a little bit. But it'll likely also come back. Because you're not an option, it's not a demand. If you treat people that way, if you treat your happiness that way, if you treat your hobbies that way, if you treat yourself that way, where you're okay with not being okay, if you're okay with letting things loose, you'll be a lot happier in the end. And maybe as a little bit of a practical tip or advice for you, try your best to not hold on so tight, to let some things go. And as you do that, you'll try to be okay with what would happen if you lost it. And you'll likely see that it's not so bad, and you have more energy to spend elsewhere. And then if you do spend that energy elsewhere, getting hobbies, in taking care more of your relationships and loving yourself more, you'll probably find yourself to be a lot happier. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.